I've been ready to make a game for a little while now, and I think I finally have an idea that I'm willing to jump on. Imagine, if you will, a sort of survival RPG kind of thing. I don't know, to be honest, I'm not really good at all the genre names, but imagine that it was played through the lens of a card game. As in, the tiles in the physical world you're exploring is just a small grid of cards, where every time you move, the old slice of the world that you're moving away from is discarded, and in the direction you're heading, you get dealt a new one. Maybe you'd be able to harvest these cards in some kind of way. This queen card, for example, could be dirt, or maybe some item you found, and your inventory would be represented as your hand of cards. Now, this isn't just meant to be a worse Terraria. I think I'd like to lean more into the RPG aspect of finding items like swords and gems and stuff, and leveling up your character to fight monsters. Now, obviously, this game sounds pretty cool, but you never really know until you actually try playing it. So my goal for today is to get a playable prototype so I can see if this game is worth developing any further. I guess that means it's time for a new Unity project. Yay! I've been through this a time or two before. And when starting a new project, I think it's important to get rid of that blank slate as soon as possible. So the very first thing I did was set up a table and a card. Not a bad start, okay. We now have a card on a table. Then it was just a matter of turning that one card into more than one card. Awesome, okay, so we do have a game board at least set up now. We got a nice wooden table and a grid of 5x5 cards. Although looking at this, I think it might be better, maybe make it 5x7. Yeah. I think it'd be pretty easy to look at that as a world. Yeah, that'll work for me. All right, so I got a background. We got a nice card asset. I've just stolen all these textures for now. Again, we're just trying to get it playable. So I think the next step should definitely be to make a player and get moving around on this board. Okay, sweet. So we have a pawn model now. I like the red, but it's not showing up very clear on these cards. The cards will eventually change color, but right now it is a lot easier just to change the color of this pawn. Okay, I like that blue. That blue stands out good. This was a great starting point. And now I can start thinking about how I'm gonna interact with this board. So the first thing that I wanted to focus on was moving. Oh, this is gonna be weird because I guess technically the pawn's never gonna move. The pawn will always probably stay in the center square. How am I gonna do that best? Because even though it should feel like you're moving to the player, the pawn is actually gonna stay in the same place while the board moves. So I started by adding clicking functionality to the objects. And while that went pretty painlessly, the moving part did not. Okay, all the cards are moving when they should not be moving. So it looks like all our cards are now leaving the screen when I tried to move. Okay, it is super slow. Oh, and that card's not working. I've sped it up a little bit now. So if I click this card above it, yeah. Okay. We got a couple issues, but I mean, it does look like we are now moving around the board. Not a bad start. So I just gotta sort out those issues with a couple cards being thrown off, and then we should be good. I'll be honest, I'm looking a little too close at this code right now, and I'm sure it's something super simple. So to fix it, I'm gonna go have a coffee break real quick because I feel like a lot of mistakes are solved with a coffee break. These pods are delicious, by the way. Big fan of them. Wait, but that shouldn't be. Oh my. I hate how dumb these issues are sometimes. Okay, I don't really want to go through explaining everything that was wrong, but I did figure it out. But you're just gonna have to trust me on it. The coffee worked. All right, so the reason it's deleting these rows every time you move is because in the actual game, what's gonna happen is each time you shift, to the side, up, down, whatever, the cards that go outside of the range, like the ones up on that top row there or in the top row right here, will be discarded into a discard pile, and a new row will be dealt below it or beside it or wherever it needs to be. So for now, I'm just deleting them the second that I move to a new space. But yeah, that's all working how I would hope it would be. Very nice. So I guess the next thing that I probably should do is figure out the dealing in new cards. And as you'll come to learn with me, the first try usually doesn't quite go as planned. Oh, that's interesting. It's broken. Yeah, this is not quite what I had in mind, but I think we're close to something. And after just a little bit of tweaking, I was able to get this. Okay, I mean, I think that's actually working. I was waiting for it to break, but I think that that's working. Yeah, because every time I click one of these, like for example, if I move to the left here, this row would be dealt in, like you would see the animation of it being dealt in, and you'd see the animation of this last row being discarded. But right now it just instantly adds it and instantly deletes it. Okay, this is a good start. We're getting somewhere with this. Now, yeah, I will say this is some terrible spaghetti code, but we're just trying to get something functional right now. The point of this today is just to see if this is fun. And if it is fun, we'll probably either do a big overhaul and clean everything up, or I'll just start a fresh project and we'll do it right from the beginning. But today we just want to get it working. It is quite satisfying seeing this work as intended. Ooh, do I want to try and do a dealing? Okay, you know what? I kind of do want to work on the discarding and drawing animation, so it feels a little bit more like it will. And I know I'm working on a purely aesthetic thing immediately after saying today's goal is just functionality, but in a way, I think that the game's visual design can contribute a lot to the enjoyment of it and how you perceive the game. Anyway, this one was a quicker one to figure out. Yeah, it's not the prettiest thing, right? I think that there's definitely a lot of room for improvement on it, but I think it more clearly shows what's happening, which is good. And look, if I move all the way to the edge of the board, we get all of those. Sweet, now let's get the drawing animation working. Okay, yeah. Again, not super pretty, not perfect yet, but yeah, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be doing. Now, I probably do have to make this a little bit faster. All right, let me see if I can fix the speed a little bit. I mean, this is looking pretty good. I feel like you can really start to see what this might feel like eventually. All right, I just made a realization, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel kind of stupid for having thought otherwise before. Up until now, I had been viewing our card world as a vertical slice, kind of like what Terraria is. You know, the lower it is on the screen, the lower it is depth. But this game makes so much more sense if it's just like the top level. So the depth isn't built into the card grid. And luckily, that realization didn't mean that I needed to make any changes to the game we already had. So I decided to close off the night by adding some animation to our pond. Good morning, gamers. All right, it is a new day today. Let's see. I think the first thing we should do today is just figure out. I think the first thing that we should do today is figure out what to do today. I think it'd be good to probably put together a plan for what this game is gonna need for me to finish this test. And after a little bit of brainstorming, I decided that today I would work on the inventory. And because the inventory is made of cards, I figured it was time to go ahead and ditch that card PNG that I stole and instead make a proper model and texture. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with that. I think that's a good neutral back to the cards. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. It feels like we are running through the grass, although it messes up when I go too fast, but ignore that. And then the other thing that I want to do real quick is let's change the lighting. We're going to give it a little bit of an inscription sort of vibe, I think. Yeah, I just want only the table to be visible. And I had thought that this light would be pretty easy to add, which is why I had put it off for so long, but it actually gave me a surprising amount of issues. So why can't I see the light? Okay, this light isn't working. I thought this was going to be a simple thing where I could just add a light, but it's not wanting to work right now. Oh, wait, did that do something? Oh, sweet, okay. But after a further inspection, I realized that didn't quite solve my problem. Let's see how that looks. I don't love it. Oh, clear baked data. Oh, there we go, okay. Oh, I found that solution pretty quick. Edit, clear baked data. Why do I have to do that every time? Because I like the way this looks, but why does it bake it? Yeah, why does it bake it so much lighter? Oh, there we go. Okay. I think my skybox was, yeah, okay. That's better. Nice, okay. That was it was supposed to be a small thing, but that lighting ended up being a bit of a struggle. But I'm glad we got that sorted out. Okay, now, now I can do what I said I was gonna do about 3 hours ago, and that is to add our inventory, which is of course gonna be the hand of cards. And to make this work, we're gonna need some splines. Instead of having all our cards fanned out in a single point like this, I think what we'd rather do is have them kind of fanned out over an arch like this. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes them a little bit easier to read. You can see, because instead of them being like this, it'd be a little bit more like this. That's why I'm going through all the effort of making this spline and not just rotating them around a point. All right, that seems like a pretty good curve, I think. And that curve is great, but it still needs a bit of functionality. Okay, I'm just slowly taking all the cards here on the board. Okay, well you can't see the cards because there's not light on them, but this is a great start. Also, I've had a lot of time while I'm working just to think about the game, and I think something that could be kind of cool is maybe if you harvest the ground using a specific tool, it will do different things, right? So like if you had a fishing rod, for example, and you harvest a blue card, then you can imagine it maybe fishes something. Depending on the tool that you use, the card will be something different. And after adding a light so I could actually see my hand, I moved on to working on the rotation so that the cards can be fanned out according to the spline. Okay, so even though this looks like it's broken, this is actually working. If you look at the bottom of the cards, the texture of them is blue. So what's happening is it's showing us the cards in the right way. Look at that, that's pretty cool. Now I just gotta make it so it doesn't instantly jump to that rotation, but instead kind of smoothly glides up to your hand. Hey, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. It's definitely gonna take a bit of tweaking, but I mean, that is about what we wanted though. All right, so it's been a couple of days since I last recorded anything for this project, but that doesn't mean I haven't been working. Besides just getting a haircut, I've also been doing some things under the hood for this project. The first big one is version control. I finally set up this project on GitHub, so I'll feel more confident in making big changes in the code, and if my computer ever blows up in a fire or something, I'll still have access to this project. The second big thing is kind of more boring, but I did spend some time refactoring the code, so it's less spaghetti now. Now, I wasn't originally planning on doing that for this video because today was just supposed to be a test to see if this game could be fun, and so I wasn't going to spend any time with good coding practices or taking a lot of time setting things up until I knew for sure it was. But after kind of playing with it and getting excited about it, this is a project that I see a lot of potential in. So I decided to go ahead and do that now before I get any further. And the last thing I did was I started work on transitioning the cards to move based on splines. So instead of just moving towards a position in space and moving towards a rotation, now they'll be able to follow a curve. So I can kind of make nicer looking movement, which is such a minor detail, but it can really add a lot to the game. But yeah, right now where I have it is when you play the game, the first thing you might notice is all the cards now deal in from off the screen, which I think is a nice change. And I can still move around like normal. But the big thing you'll notice is when I click on this card, it now smoothly slides up to the center of the screen here and displays itself nicely. And that is as far as that has gotten so far. So yeah, now what I'd like to do is make it so after you've seen the card, it can move into your hand. So I started by adding some idle motion while it's being displayed. Yeah, that's got a pretty good movement to it, and I can tweak that curve specifically, but nice. So now it's like floating there, which is kind of, I guess, a way of prompting the user that they need to click on it now, which is exactly what we're gonna do next. All right, let's see if this works. It should go to my hand and we shouldn't get any errors. Okay, well, okay. Fingers crossed, I think this one should work. Awesome, looks good, and then we click it. Not at all. All right, I think I've gotten it working now. So if we click on one, and then we click on it, and it just goes neatly into our hand. Okay, well, admittedly, I did want to get further in this game today. I wanted to figure out a bit of combat, some more items, I mean, kind of make the game more into a game. You know, I wanted to add more of the playability, I guess, to the game. That being said, I did accomplish what I had set out to do, which was decide whether this game is worth continuing. But I would love to hear from you guys if you have any ideas for what the combat might look like, what exploration might look like. I mean, this game is so early into the development cycle that really any ideas you have about any parts of the game, I would definitely be excited to hear about. Aside from, of course, implementing more of the project, I think some of my main focuses are gonna be how I'm gonna make this game fun. Really focusing on the game design aspect of it, which, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't want to make a game that just looks cool or has some cool mechanic. You know, I want to make something that's genuinely fun to play. And while, you know, I don't think the idea is fully there yet, I am really excited to keep working on this. So if you enjoyed this video, this is the first one I've ever posted on this channel, and you might be the first subscriber. You could be the very first person seeing this. So thank you for making it all the way through the video up to here. YouTube's system has changed a lot over the years, but the best way to keep up to date with the creator is just by hitting that bell so that you can get notifications whenever the videos go live. But with that, I'll catch you guys next time.